Good evening, everyone. Good evening to those of you who are joining us online, and good evening to the students here in the classroom with me at the Life of Learning. Welcome to our Discovery Wednesday class with Guy Finley. My name is John. If you're new here, those of you online, welcome. Our Discovery Wednesday class is a great opportunity to learn with us. Guy will present tonight a topic and we'll talk about it for about 60 minutes. And during that talk, he will also invite us to join him in a discussion, a brainstorming session to
Actually, that's not going to happen tonight.
Okay, never mind that. That's a discovery for me. But that's life. Regardless of the format, I guarantee that we will learn something this evening that we haven't considered before, and we'll explore it deeply with Guy. So do take advantage of that by staying with us. When Guy finishes his talk, we'll go on, take a short break, and then come back for a discussion with him about the material that he's presented. And you can participate online, and those of us in the room also will have that chance as well. Before we continue, thank you, John. Just a reminder to the students here in the room, if you have a cell phone, do just check to make sure you've turned it off before we continue. So let's get started with tonight's class. Here is the topic that we'll be exploring with Guy. Realize the unseen relationship between meditation and self-liberation.
Good evening to everyone in the room and to everyone watching, wherever you are, what day or time doesn't matter so much. The important thing is you're here and you're going to be taken on a kind of a journey. I want to tie together a host of ideas that we've been looking at so that we can begin, which is the most important thing of all. It's hard to understand that everything that you will ever learn that's important spiritually has to do with you learning to pry those eyes open so that you can see what you don't want to see yet. I'm going to spend some time, perhaps as much as half of the talk, introducing you to what I call a living meditation. But I can't talk about this meditation, nor can we practice it, which we will together. As I go through it, we're going to have a little meditation. Can't talk about it until you begin to understand what you have failed to understand to date, which is that you don't have your own attention. We're going to look at it deeply. It's not a derogatory remark. It's not a judgment. You have to be the one that sees whether or not what we discuss and look at in this room during these talks, whether or not it's true. Because I can tell you with no hesitation that the degree to that which you see is true about you is the degree to which you will begin to change. Seeing the truth is what sets you free, because when you see the truth of yourself as you are, you will realize why it is that your life is the way it is, and why understanding that says to you, it cries it out, I can't remain this way. I cannot be this kind of man or woman anymore that I didn't even know I was, but that I'm beginning to get some glimpses that prove to me the reason that my meditation is futile. The reason that your so-called spiritual work does not deliver you to freedom, but to more and more servitude to a set of ideals and images that you hope to enact, which is fine. But you must continually see the limitation of your own understanding. You must continually see the limitation of your present understanding, because it is in the revelation of that limitation that you are released from your identification with yourself. So the key lesson for tonight, pretty straightforward. You'll understand what it has to do with, which is what the first part of this talk is with this question of attention. What is my attention? What is its power? What is its authority? Why is it so critical to me? And why, in the absence of it, if that turns out to be the case and you're able to recognize that truth, why my life is exactly the way it is. I'm lucky if I can remember to put my head on my shoulders. Here's the key lesson. Whether a captive of a moment or changed and completed by it, all depends on what we attend to in that moment. Whether a captive of a moment or changed and completed by it, all depends on what we attend to in that moment. What is that little key lesson saying? It's saying that there is a very distinct difference between the experience I have and what becomes of me in that experience through what I give my attention to. So that if my attention is captured, as it always is, by what it presently is taken by, I can do nothing but expect to remain a captive of this constant blame that I have of everything outside of me, or the judgment of myself, which is the same thing, instead of starting to recognize that I have been given the most precious gift that God can give a human being. No other creature can decide for itself what it gives its attention to. No other creature on this planet. Only human beings, and the very rare group that is now, understands the importance of their intention, and in seeing how they have been deported into a life of degradation through the avoidance of recognizing the critical nature of having their attention, we have fallen into the world that we've fallen into. No other creature has the power to attend to what you have the power to attend to. So, I'm going to ask our actors to come up on stage. I have a short act to help you understand the difference between whether or not I'm a captive of a moment or whether or not I can be changed and completed by my awareness and attention to that moment. And so what you have in front of you, at great cost to the management, is a husband and wife acting team. The husband is not very happy. He's just not, and hasn't been for quite some time. Not saying when the unhappiness began, but it's just been growing. And so as a rule, he's kind of what we would just call an unhappy camper. With that, I'll turn it over to the...
Jeez.
You're kind of grumpy today, aren't you? And a lovely day it is, too.
Yeah, right. What's got you feeling so light and bright?
I guess you didn't notice, but the whole world changed today. Didn't you notice that?
No, not really. When did this change happen?
Well, actually, right now.
That's funny, because I sure didn't see anything happen.
Well, don't take it the wrong way, but I'm pretty sure that it's impossible to see that life is always changing until we agree to let it change us as well.
I kind of get what you're saying, but I'm still not really sure I know what you're talking about.
That's okay. Such things take time to understand.
Well, you know what? To be honest, I'd rather be almost anyone other than me at the moment. So if you will, I'd like to know a little bit more about this kind of change you say we can take part in.
Great. Let's go pour pour ourselves a glass of wine and we'll see what we can learn together.
All right.
The key insight in our study is in that one line. I'm pretty sure it's impossible to see that life is always changing until we agree to let it change us as well. I want to take the time to revisit certain ideas with you so that we can be fresh and so that everyone who's joining us from wherever they are in the world, if they've never listened in or heard some of these ideas, they might be able to go along with us at the same pace so that we can set the stage equally for everyone when we get to this living meditation, what it means to be in the real here and now. So, you know this part, but let's not do it mechanically. As goes my attention. So in the story, the man, the grumpy man, he's grumpy because he keeps seeing over and over again a life that as he attends to his resistance, his negativity over what he believes has come to him or that he didn't get, what is it that that man sees all the time? Well, he thinks he sees a world that has done him wrong, a wife that doesn't understand him, a world that is somehow cut off from the sensitivity that he has, and that he has no choice but to be cynical about it because he's tried as best he could to change the world, but nothing he did worked. Do you understand? So his experience of the moment cannot be separated from what he looks at as he considers the world that he's angry about. Because all he can see in those moments is that there is something going on that every time he looks at it, every time he gives his attention to his negative reactions, his experience is nothing but negativity, and a negativity that can't be blamed on his reactions, but that have to be blamed on what his reactions point to as responsible for the miserable view that he has of life. Do you understand? This is fundamental. So the question is, as goes my attention, so comes my experience. What is my experience that comes to me through my attention? What is the experience that I get through where my attention goes? Myself. I don't think that when I give my attention to something, that the subsequent experience of that moment is myself when what I don't want to see and go through is spread out before me. I'm sure that the reason I'm having the reaction is because of the reasons my reaction, that consciousness gives me for that moment that I would like to get rid of if I could. Yes, please? So what I'm actually looking at in that moment that I don't want is a reaction filled with me that doesn't want anything to do with the moment at all. And the question here, the crucible, can I separate that sense of self from what it attends to the way that I do now? Can I separate that sense of self? I don't want this. No, that's wrong. Get away from me. Can I separate that sense of self from the consciousness that creates it? Can I? And yet that's all we do. Isn't it? When you're negative, unhappy with somebody, you never think to yourself, you know what? Look at this. What am I actually living in this moment when you do or say or bring me this or don't bring me what am I looking at? My reaction tells me I'm looking at someone who never got the message of the way they're supposed to be, and that who may be trying to taunt me or harm me with their behavior. That's what my reaction sees. But what my reaction is looking at is not the reality of the experience. Most of us believe, transition, again, building. Most of us believe, do we not? Do you not believe that your attention is your own? Every human being believes that. Because a human being without understanding so mistakes the desire they have for something as their own attention. Your desire for something is not your attention. It is something you are given to attend to by something in you that feels incomplete and believes it must have or acquire what it has imagined so that it can get rid of the disturbance of feeling as if I'm missing something. Do you understand that? So that there's never a moment in which a person actually begins to suspect, you know what? This is my attention. I can do with it whatever I want to do. And to some extent, you go into the world, you have these desires, these images are formed by this imagination. It creates a form, then the desire says that's the form, it becomes identified with it, and then it spends its entire life trying to fabricate or manifest that which it has imagined is going to bring an end to a sense of being incomplete or otherwise. Yes or no? And so I look at what I've made in my life. You please listen. Do you know who I am? Do you? You fill in the blank. I went through this, and then I learned, and then I got that, and I made this, and look where I live now. Look what I have. Now, I don't have everything, but just check it out. Look at me. I'm not perfect. I'm close. But I'm going to get there because with my will, I'm going to finally make everything the way it's supposed to be. But there's a little fly in the ointment, isn't there? They still have ointments? What's the fly in the ointment? If I can create with my attention what I want, why can't I simply withdraw my attention from what I don't want? Look, I'm acting this out for you. I'm the maker of all things. Now, I don't do it perfectly, but I make some pretty good stuff. And then I run into this fact that something that I've made not only doesn't make me whole, but the thing that I've made is threatened. And now the thing that I've made, I feel like I'm threatened and I don't want anything to do with being threatened. And I can't take my attention off of what I don't want. I can't take my attention off not wanting to be me in this moment. Can you? Be honest. You dreaming up another plan to escape the pain of what the moment has brought to you is not taking your attention and owning what's happened. It's you avoiding what your attention brought to you and continues to immerse you in that you can't see is inseparable from the experience you don't want. Yes? I can give myself experiences I want. Why can't I stop having experiences I don't? It's not fair. That's my answer. You, they, this, them are complicit in messing with me. And because you are the one responsible for the unwanted experience, I have to deal with you, this, they, or them, in order to get past the experience I don't want. Why can't I, who have created all of these wonderful things, just simply withdraw from that creation? It's painful. Can you withdraw from your pain? Can you? No, I can't help but give my attention to the pain that is born out of what I created through my attention. And this is what has to be seen to some extent. It has to recognize, I should be able to do this. I'm sitting at home and yes or no, I keep thinking about what he did. Keep going over what she said or how that should have been different. I think about the news and my mind chews on my mind, trying to figure out, why is it like that? How do I change this experience? And every answer that we have for changing the experience we don't want is to simply imagine another experience where we get away from who we don't want to be, or we find someone that is better just waiting to come out of us when we finally become as we have imagined we should. Everybody still following me? The reactions are always explaining themselves, aren't they? So, just doubling down, where is it that my attention goes in every moment, particularly troubled ones? Where does my attention go? Here's a troubling moment. Where does my attention go? My attention goes onto what my reaction says has caused this regrettable situation. And I believe that when my attention goes to the cause I see, that the cause is completely the reason for my experience. But where is my attention actually in that moment? Where is my attention in an unwanted moment? Where is it actually? I've been talking about this. How come you don't know? My attention's on my reaction. My attention is on my sense of self. John got up and spoke about this tendency of his to fill empty moments with no. It isn't filled with no. It's filled with the beloved sense of myself, filled with resistance that proves somehow or other I shouldn't have to go through these moments. I'm filled with the sense of myself. And the sense of self that I'm filled with is the experience of not wanting what that consciousness points to as the source of the conflict. But we can begin to see, if we recognize this, the source of the conflict is not in the condition. Why? Try to see it with me. Why is the source of my conflict in the moment not in the condition that I blame it on? Why is it not there? Because there can be no condition I don't want without my reaction to it. So that my reaction is not just complicit in the conflict I have with the moment. My reaction and my gravitation towards identifying with it ensures that I remain a captive of that world. Listen to this, where what? Listen, where nothing changes. Again, I invite you, why is it that nothing changes in those moments? Yes or no? Are you still negative pretty much about the same things? Everybody understands that. It's triggered. Well, why is it that nothing changes? Because I don't see that I am what isn't changing. That's why. I want you to change. I want my health to change. I want everything to change. Because only when everything changed will I stop having this reaction about things that I don't want. But what's required here is to see, yes or no, how seamless the process is of my attention onto the condition I don't want. Is it not seamless? I don't know how much you've studied or seen in yourself. You are filled with resistance before you even know why you're filled with it. So first comes something acting on this sleeping, passive nature. And as they meet, active and passive, up comes this resistance built in naturally into that which does not want to be disturbed, my past. And in the moment of that resistance, I don't know why I'm troubled, but I know in a heartbeat later why I feel the way I do, because my reaction, meaning the reaction becomes the explainer of the moment I don't want. So this means, if you're following me, that my reactions, which are an effect, explain to me the cause for their appearance. Are my reactions not an effect? Can an effect explain the cause of itself? Or is it an extension of the cause? So there's this seamless process. And because of this seamless process, let's put it together, of my attention being seized and placed on the experience I don't want, in that moment, everything about my life, I'm literally bounced around. Like I'm taken in and out of this sense of self. And then as I start to struggle what to do, then I go into another sense of self that has its conflicting thoughts and feelings. And then I'm in that sense of self. Then my attention goes, reaction gives rise to reaction. Reaction gives rise to reaction. And with each reaction, a new identification. And with each new identification, the certainty that its experience is caused by whatever that particular character in myself points to as the problem. It's a wonder that human beings live beyond the age of 19. So stressed. You want to know why adults over the age of 70% have to take psychotropics? Because at a certain point, they can no longer excuse or get away from their own mind, and they can't stand the experience of themselves. People say, I want to retire. They didn't know that when they retired, they wouldn't have the people at work that irritate them to blame. So now they go home and they think about those people that they're not at work with anymore, so they can still have people to blame. So they can continue to relive the experience that's no longer active to them, but now is nothing but a form of memories reforming themselves. And with each reformation, what? Another sense of myself that wants to blame the world around me. Can you see everything I'm describing? We're setting the stage. Now, the actors on stage, husband and wife, merely representing two sides of a certain consciousness. Those two actors, one of them was saying something quite unique, wasn't she? She was saying, well, it's quite a lovely day because everything changed. Well, when did it change? She misread the script. Just now, I didn't see it change. Well, I know you didn't see it change because you haven't changed. To see the moment change, you have to be changed by your relationship with that moment. And if you are not changed through the relationship with the moment that is ceaselessly renewing itself and perfecting itself, if you're not participating in the here and now of that moment, then you are participating not in the new experience of life, but you are instead experiencing the life that has passed along with all of its old experiences. Do you see the difference in this? At least you can, to some extent, as we've talked at depth. You can realize, I saw them beautiful. The sun came out today, and it was a little chilly, a little crisp in the air, and the leaves are starting to get their waxiness, and it was beautiful, and Big Dog came back today. That my big buck on the property, I haven't seen him for 6 months. Big Dog came, so happy to see him. And he came right up, and we had a nice chat. I said, how's it going? He said, everything's pretty quiet. He said, but while we're talking, can I have a few more of those peanuts? That's life. Life is always changing. If you're not there in the moment as a reflection of the revelation of the moment, then you miss being a part of that revelation, which is what self-realization is. Being a conscious part of the revelation of the endless creation of life itself, participating in that is self-realization. Because there's no one left after each and every one of those moments to carry forward the experience where they revisit it and think about it, including the ones they don't watch, which is most of what our experience is, isn't it? Going over moments we wish didn't happen, or avoiding ones that we think are going to happen because of similar situations in the past. So instead of a new experience of life, born of being a participant in the revelation of what is here and now, which we're going to get to right now, I'm all the time caught up in the experience of my own life and blaming the life around me for the unwanted taste of it. See it? Where's my little clock? Good. I wanted to be at 6:30, and guess what time it is? 6:30. So I'm going to show you something first with a representation. It is difficult to grasp, and I'll be the first to tell you that this meditation, this work that I'm going to introduce you to, you can't. Here's a little boy, and they're at on vacation at a resort someplace, big beautiful pool with a slide and the waterfalls and all the stuff like that, the floating. And he says to his dad, I really want to learn to swim. I really want to get in the inner tube and go down the deal. Dad gets in the water. Come on. Nope. Nope. Well, son, there's a problem here. If you want to experience this, you have to come into the water, and you can trust your father not to betray you. If you want to know something about what it means to have, and I'm using these words, a living meditation. Not a meditation that you sit someplace and do, not a meditation that you identify with or chant or do mantras or puja or whatever you do. But a living meditation means that you are in the here and now with the moment itself, and as it changes, because you are a participant in the awareness of that moment, your awareness of yourself and the moment is changing at the same time, and it never stops. At least it's not intended to. For the longest time, you go in and out and in and out and in and out. But the task here is to spend more time in. Because the more time you spend in the awareness of what we're about to look at together, the more you'll begin to see how insane it is. Look, I don't want to be too strong. You look around and you see human beings that you blame for being insane because that makes you feel sane. With God as my witness, humanity is insane. It is insane because human beings believe without doubt that their perception of any given experience is in fact the only way that experience could go, and that they know because of the way they're so sure how other experiences need to follow or people need to be changed so that you're not disturbed by anymore. A sane human being recognizes that the disturbance is part of the revelation and their gradual realization of something they brought with them from the past that now needs to be changed. And it can change as they see the truth of that, because when you see the truth, you cannot argue with what it's showing you about yourself. So I want to show you something about levels of being. Now, I have here in my hand this nesting doll, and it's built backwards for what I want to show you, but I trust that you'll be able to understand. So I have to kind of take it apart. So a nesting doll has inside of it another one that looks just like the big one, and inside of that, another one that looks just like that, And inside of that, another one that looks just like that. So the first nesting doll is going to represent a level of consciousness that has no capacity to do anything other than respond to the mechanical, natural reactions that are part of that creature's life. You look at a rabbit, a bunny, a squirrel, a dog, even big dog, God bless his soul. Although larger mammals that have some emotional parts can be brought along. So this little thing represents a certain level of consciousness, a certain part of this brain, by the way. Yeah, no. Look, have you ever seen a picture of the development of a human being, let alone the human brain? We all start looking pretty much just like a tadpole, like a little frog, a little embryo of some kind. And then we go through that stage, we start to look like a lizard. And then after a lizard, we look a little like Frankie, the turkey. Yes, we do. And then so that you can see the embryo, the human embryo, made in the image of God, literally is taken through, in a very short period of time, an entire order of what we would call evolution, or more accurately, the layering of one order of itself by another order. So here's this little lizard brain, and it sits inside of what? Another kind of brain. A brain that can begin to recognize that it is, in fact, having a reaction, and can start to struggle in some respect, like some dogs, creatures do, to realize that this reaction is a limitation. Do you understand? Now, this creature that has the other, does it not have the other creature inside of it? Can you hear the other little creature? Let me out. It sits inside of what? Another order of consciousness. So each level is enveloped by another level greater than itself. Now, this level of consciousness can, for all intents and purposes, start to become conscious of what it does to itself and others. It can't do anything about it because it's still under the complete command of that other nature, of its lower nature. Are we communicating? Very difficult to do this, with nesting dolls. So this is when a human being, for some extent, begins to, like John, in the story. Well, maybe you could. I feel a need to understand some of this because I feel a need to no longer be the inside little lizard man. Now, this nature, this consciousness of something other than itself, cannot know yet what it is conscious of. It's aware of something as other than itself, but it doesn't know what is other than itself. It doesn't have that. But this consciousness and those that are involved sit inside another order of consciousness that can be aware of what the other creature could not be aware of, its own consciousness. And then further still, enveloping this is another order of being altogether in a completely different order of time, that this consciousness, once it has assumed responsibility and integrated all of the other parts, this consciousness can then begin to know the larger enveloping intelligence that gave rise to all the different forms that it is starting to be aware of. That's what this meditation is. We're going to go through it now. I'm going to go through it with you on your paper, and you can download it at home. And then we're going to practice this together once we've been through it. It's entitled Living in the Here and Now Meditation. This meditation is in 3 parts. No one of them is complete. They must have all 3 parts. Part 1, and I'm going to just walk through this with you. I'm going to enact it for you so you can understand it. It is to say silently to yourself, and then I'll show you the breathing. I am, meaning I'm going to gather all of my attention. I am here. I am inside my body. I am within my own body. My attention is collected inside of my awareness of all that is transpiring, every sensation. I am within the awareness of that. So here's the point. I am here. Here, what is here? Here corresponds to the relationship that every living creature has with the creative forces responsible for it. That's what here is. Here is where all the intersection and the interaction of the various planetary and celestial forces meet. That's here. That's the beauty of this instrument called the body that we don't know anything about at all. We think the body is here to transport us to Trader Joe's or to TJ, Chick-fil-A or wherever. My body's here to make sure I get the pleasure I want. That's what my body's for. And from time to time, parade it if there's anything worth showing. No, your body is here as a direct correlation between planetary and celestial influences that are coming into it and that body's relationship to the world it is in as those influences pour into it. We are alive because we are given these influences, these forces, these active, timeless energies coming into this body. And when those active, timeless energies come into this body created to be aware of the intersection of those forces responds to the appearance of those forces that are touching it and moving it. This is the ceaseless disturbance of what we call life. In that ceaseless disturbance, I am all the time being told reasons why I'm disturbed, instead of understanding that whatever names the disturbance out of myself doesn't know what's disturbing me. It's taking a certain set of energies that were created by an interaction between impression and what is impressed upon, and they're turning it into something known. And you can't know what is disturbing you. If you want to participate in the true here, where those energies are taking place and giving you the awareness of yourself. So the idea of I am here. On the in-breath, you become fully aware of, as best you can, I am. I gather myself. I am, and on the out-breath, here. Here, meaning I am taking all of my awareness of every sensation in my body and bringing that awareness into those sensations that are within the body. The body itself doesn't know the sensations. The body itself does. Look, if the body, how do I say this to you? The body is aware of sensation, but it doesn't know them. Can you understand that at all? You have you touch something hot. You in that moment have the awareness of your body shouting at you. But the body, without you, in order to respond to what it is being touched by, has nothing that can help it move away from it. It requires the intelligence of that awareness within itself to know its relationship to the condition it was unconscious to a moment before, and now suddenly it's totally conscious of it. You may not be able to breathe as would be best. On the in-breath, a nice deep in-breath, I am. As best you understand, to gather yourself into yourself. And on the out-breath, here. and on the idea of the word here, to know that I am fully attentive within myself to all of the sensations of that self in the moment. So for that split second, there's no separation between my awareness and my experience and the sense of myself produced from it. They are a singularity in that moment. Are you able to follow that? Whereas ordinarily I have a sensation of some kind, my mind separates itself out from the sensation, believes that it knows what it is, and then tries to change the conditions for the sensation. We're not going to try to change the sensations. We're going to go into the consciousness in which those sensations are unfolding as a witness to them. I am here within myself, just as attentive to the whole of myself as I can be inwardly, within myself, everything that's passing through me, so that in that heightened sense of attention, there is no longer any sense of separation. In that heightened attention, there's no longer any sense of separation because I am attending to the awareness of my own interior life, and my experience is the single experience of those sensations. Understand that first part? Second part. This is following that. So I have taken the breath in. I am not in thought. You must feel that within. Aware of the chair I'm sitting in, the temperature in the room. Aware of the sensations and the nature sensing all at once. I am within. My full awareness has been given to this apparatus and its variations in my consciousness. And on the out breath, at the end of that, I come back in, and on the in breath again, I am, and on the out breath, now. I am, just like the first one. I am, only now. And what does now mean? It means that in that moment, and you can say it to yourself, you can say it silently, I am now, meaning what? My attention is now vested in the awareness of my consciousness. Before it was vested in what I was conscious of. Now my awareness is on the whole of that consciousness. So before it was simple consciousness. I am aware of those things that are moving through me. I'm aware that they are not apart from myself. Now I'm in the moment, in the timeless moment where I can begin to recognize, and you will see it, that not only can I be present within myself, conscious of these sensations, but I can be aware of that consciousness at the same time that it's aware of what's moving into it and through it. Remember I showed you the nesting dolls? So I can first, and you cannot skip steps. I'm here. I'm aware of everything that's going through me, and I'm aware of everything that doesn't want to be doing this. I'm aware of the resistance to practicing this. And as I complete that step, I am now. This is truly practicing the presence of an awareness of my own consciousness. Not just what my consciousness is aware of, but a consciousness of that, an awareness of that consciousness. So now, first, I have this simple awareness of my senses, yes? And now I can see, you know what, these senses, they're inside of me. So these senses are in me, aren't they? Yes or no? Yes. You can't blame something outside of you for the registration of it. So here's my senses. Okay, I'm here. I'm aware of these senses. And now I'm going to be in another order of time. another order of awareness where this consciousness that was now simply aware of its senses, now I am aware of that consciousness itself. This is the second step. I'm outlining this to you. I don't expect you to get this. One day you'll be grateful, God willing. If you work at this, you'll start to understand how extraordinary. I really am a multi-level creature. I really do have more than one nature. I really am capable of being aware of more than just what my mind points to as being the source of my pain. Instead, I can be aware of the sensations themselves, and then I can be aware of the consciousness that wants to hand over those sensations to something it blames for itself. You following me? And the third part of this exercise. So we have what? First, I am here. Let's just, at the simplest level, practice that. I'm here. I'm in my body. I can see Chris, I can see Pat, I can see this room, but I'm here. So this is a rudimentary form of double attention, isn't it? I'm here. I almost never know I'm here. I'm always there, trying to get rid of the experience born of not being here. I hope this isn't too complex for you. So first, I'm here. I'm in my body, aware of it, my heart, my lungs, the taste in my mouth, aware of it, as much as I can be aware of within myself. I'm here. I am now. So I can be aware of those sensations and the consciousness of them. I can be aware of that consciousness, even as I'm aware of what's going on inside of it. Work at it for a split second. I am now. Now meaning inclusive of everything that is pouring into the moment and everything that is being changed through that interaction. I'm actually participating in the witnessing of my own consciousness and what it has been made aware of through what it interacts with. I am now. This is what practicing the presence is. I am now. So instead of just attending to what is within me, I'm attending to everything around me. Everything that surrounds me. And that awareness that is attentive to everything around it, at the same time that it is attentive to everything within it, is perfect double attention. The observer and the observed are momentarily joined together. And that's the third part of the exercise. On the third and last breath, again, I am that I am. This is resting in this awareness that is born of this new double attention of recognizing, you know what? There is something that can engage the entirety of this experience. There is something that is enveloping it at all times and seeing to its unfolding. Then you begin to realize, as again with part one and part two, that as you work at this, you start to recognize, and you will. By the way, if you actually work at this, how many of you have trouble sleeping? You do this exercise before you go to bed. And if you want to have a especially restful night, do it while you're laying in bed instead of thinking about the silly things that you think about, your problems and your enemies and your money and your health, all the crud that your mind is encrusted with. You work at this. You get up in the morning. I would highly recommend that this would be, if you have other meditation, do it. But start with this. You know, if you really start with this, you won't need your other meditation. Because every meditation is intended to bring you into a living relationship with the here and the now, where the divine lives, where the life of the divine is unfolding, and you as a participant in the experience of it. That's the point of the exercise. Now, as you become familiar with this, you'll do what you want. For me, the more you practice, the more you want to practice it. the more you understand that your mind, left to its own devices, is going to hand you off to some reaction. That reaction is going to hand you off to the experience that's blamed for it. Your experience will be attending to that, and your life will be caught in this unending circle of not being here and now in the revelation of creation, but trying to protect or otherwise preserve what you call this creation of your life. So people have problems at work. You go to work. Anybody have a problem at work? Or you get an email? I'm telling you, you can work at this anytime, anywhere. Don't do it while you're driving. Once you get the hang of it, you won't need to think through this. You will naturally be the whole. Not one part and another, but in the awareness of the entirety of the moment and its experience, which is inseparable from your experience as a creation in that moment. That's why the little story, once again, she said to him, what? No, I don't think you saw that life is changing, because in order to actually know that, the beauty of it, you have to do what? You have to change with it. This is what I'm describing to you. Let's take a break. We'll come back and have our discussion. We'll also have a short meditation. We have 5 minutes. Let's work at this while it's still fresh in our mind. Just for 5 minutes. What's the first step? I am here. Once that's established, I am now. I am that I am. You can do this with your eyes open or eyes closed. That's why I call it a living meditation. You don't have to close your eyes to do this. This is called real life. It's just broken down into steps and stages as we have to do, so we can start to get our minds and hearts wrapped around it. Close your eyes if you wish. Do it open-eyed. Let's do this. By the way, when you first start this, do not do this for more than 5 minutes. Do not do this for more than 5 minutes. For one thing, your mind can't do it. You'll just see your mind can't do it. But as you work, you go 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Then if you want to extend it, you can extend that. Then it'll be a silent activity instead of one that you have to work at. Let's just practice for 5 minutes. work at this living meditation, the more you'll understand the nature of your own breath. You'll start to understand this idea of I am now. It simply means I'm not apart from this present moment. My mind says I'm apart from it because it wants to blame things outside of me for the part that I play or that others play in it. I'm not outside from, I am not outside of this moment. This moment is a singularity, a timeless singularity. You are intended to participate in that timeless singularity so that in your awareness of yourself within it, you can see how everything comes into you, changes everything, and leaves you. You can see it because you become it. And as you become it, you're no longer afraid of what comes in and what leaves. Take a break. We'll come back and have our dialogue.
Welcome back, everyone. Wasn't that a great opportunity to practice what Guy just described for us fresh in our minds? I deeply appreciated that opportunity. Before we move to our discussion, our chance to talk with Guy about that material or whatever else you want to talk to Guy about regarding your inner work, let me share one reminder and one kind of special bit of news that I'm very excited to share with you. First, the reminder, we have a couple of more opportunities to learn together this week. Just a reminder that we have a Friday night class at 7 p.m. that you're invited to join us with. It is a student-led class, and we'll be discussing the talk that Guy gave this past Sunday. So please do join us for that. Always a good discussion with fellow students on Friday nights. Then Saturdays, Guy speaks at 8 a.m. on insighttimer.com live, a live talk by Guy. And the topic for this Saturday is Remember This Truth and Be Released from Useless Suffering. So another great opportunity to learn with Guy and to learn with fellow students as well. But then here's the news that I'm very excited to share. A couple months ago, we began experimenting with a new format for one of our Wednesday night classes, and it was what Guy titled Deep Dive Wednesday. And on Deep Dive Wednesday, the topic for discussion that day was what we as students submitted to Guy. What is it that we wanted him to take a deeper dive into, to explain further and to explore more richly with us? And so students were invited to send to Guy ideas, to send quotations or comments that he may have made in a previous talk or from one of his many books, something that he may have written that touched you and you just wanted to understand better, or from other masters that you wanted him to simply take your understanding further. And so students have been invited for a couple of months to do that. And we've had 2 Deep Dive Wednesdays on the last class of March and the last Wednesday of March. And then we just had it last week, last April. Well, great news is our Deep Dive Wednesdays have been so successful, so received so well, and I can say as a student that I have been very excited at these classes. The Guy has decided that we would have Deep Dive Wednesdays 2 times a month, and so the next Deep Dive Wednesdays here in the month of May are going to be on May 15th and May 29th. So we're going to have 2 opportunities this month to take a deep dive with Guy. Please, if you haven't already, and even if you have, do continue. Submit again your topics. What is it you would like to explore with Guy on those Deep Dive Wednesdays? Again, any idea, any quotation, anything that you send that you would like to explore, just send it to our website, our contact place. That is contact@guyfinley.org, and we will collect and collate those and use those for further Deep Dive Wednesdays. Great opportunity. Looking forward to it. All right, let's return back to the classroom and see if Guy's ready to start our discussion or if he has anything else to say. So, hello, Guy. Are you there?
Nope.
Nope.
I checked out. I'm here, John, and ready to speak with anyone that wants to speak, answer any questions I can, and we'll go from there.
Right.
It's over to you.
All right, Guy. I'll invite anyone online and go to webinar. If you want to talk directly to Guy, you have the possibility to do so. Just click the hand icon. And if anyone on the other platforms, you want to send in a written question or comment, you can certainly do so as well. And I do see a couple hands popped up right away, guys. So let's go to our queue. We'll go first to Claudia. Hello, Claudia. You're unmuted.
Thank you. Hi, Guy. Thank you for that meditation. I'm going to practice it. I had a situation at work today where I had to step in to help a patient, and it was something important for the patient, and I felt this judgment towards my coworker who, instead of paying attention to the patient, was paying attention to the computer.
Yes.
And I just ask, and I know that it's possible to take that same corrective action and yet not have that judgmental feeling towards the coworker.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, from that moment, I felt stressed the whole day,
Yeah.
and it just felt impossible. Like I could never take that same action without feeling angry at the coworker.
Oh, you'll see, Claudia. As you were speaking, I had this picture come into my mind. It'll help you understand the present situation and the possibilities that are inherent in it. Something that, by the way, as I review this quickly, I will cover in great depth during our talks in the Pines in June. So we looked at this set of Cupid dolls, and we saw that within one was another, and within another was blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go blue, blue, blue. I'm not going to go through all of that. But here's the point. We are, as human beings, not just made, in quotes, in the image of the divine, but that the image of the divine includes all the things that the divine created. So that it's difficult for us to understand, because for the most part we're so afraid of our own bubbling hot reactions. It's hard for us to understand that we are very much like the center of our own earth. You've seen the pictures where, especially if you ever got lucky enough to go someplace where a volcano, for me, lucky enough to go where a volcano was going off, you see this magma coming up. You look at the hot water vents deep, deep in the ocean. You watch all this energy coming up. That's what you are. That's all there all the time. My students are laughing because they know the heat but not the happiness. Oh, so much energy. So much energy. But because we don't have the capacity yet, Claudia, to use our attention, to be aware of the vessel within which this is taking place, we're captured by each bubbling piece of mud that wants to point out someone who's made them miserable. This energy, Claudia, this is what this work is about. It's about bringing a human being into this broader and broader relationship, so that eventually all that's going on, but he or she sits and is the willing observer, the witness to the whole creation, and agreeing to take place in all of those things, including those moments where someone doesn't do what they're supposed to do, and we spend our day or our lifetime, as the case often turns out to be, sitting in resentment with them as an enemy of ourselves. So don't you be too concerned. Try not to judge yourself. You're already reaching a point where you can see, this was going on in me. I never knew it was to that extent. Now I see it, and it's much worse than I thought. It is your reaction to the reaction that you are now becoming aware of. We want to become conscious of the nature having it, and that requires, sorry for the illustration that keeps going, you have to get burned by your own identification. Because that's what you're burned by. You're not burned by that person. The person didn't burn you. You holding on to this heated reaction that people should be the way you imagine them to be, even though you may be right. That person shouldn't sit at her computer if she's got a patient that's dying. The thing's going, they're playing Stargate or whatever they're doing on their computer. Let them, they are what they are. You be what you are intended to be, Claudia, which is present and a participant in the moment, learning from it everything you can about this volcanic nature with all of its energy. One day you'll participate in its. And what do volcanoes do, by the way? No, everybody here said they blow. No, that's not. They create new land. They give birth to the next iteration of the earth so that the earth folds in on itself. And the opposites of the colliding plates produce this tremendous pressure, and out of this tremendous pressure comes something new. You and I are made in that image. We just have to understand it thoroughly enough and grow, not grow, how should I say, and start to see that it is futile to resist those revelations. And then you find freedom as you free yourself from being unconsciously identified with your own negative reactions. I hope that helps, Claudia. Over to you, John.
All right, Guy, I'm going to come on. I have a comment that just got sent in from Jill. She is commenting about what we just did. She says, "Hi, Guy. When we just practiced the conscious meditation, I experienced a really quiet moment, and I just wanted to share that."
Good. You will see the nice thing. I'm messing around up here. Look, there's a halo. That's what happens when you practice. Huh? A ring of light. As you see, I try to juxtapose this so you could see it. You cannot become quiet the way you imagine you want to be quiet. Imagination is noise hiding itself in images. You can't. But the more you see the relationship between the identification and the reactions, and you recognize the pain and the futility of identifying and being moved, bounced around by those things, the more you see that, the more you will want to spend your time quietly observing what you formerly were identified with. In the observation, in the true observation, there's a natural clarity, and in the clarity, a new kind of silence. And then as you are enveloped in this new energy, the Holy Spirit, as you're enveloped in this new energy, lo and behold, you naturally want to gravitate towards what is quiet. You want that. You're no longer avoiding it. Now something in you hungers to be quiet, as opposed to hunger to be full of sensation. On we go.
On we go. We'll go next to Ivan in the queue, Guy. Hello, Ivan. You're unmuted. Hello, Ivan. Are you there?
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Ivan.
I think you kind of answered a huge thing when you talked about the Holy Spirit. And there's something there for us people that have been raised there. We missed a lot, but I had two or three basic things that come up really fast.
Yeah.
Is this a way to approach stillness? And is this a way to bypass our normal thinking? And how do we arrive at understanding with this? Because you see, so many times we're contriving and
Yes.
comparing, thinking, and so we're trying to shut down that thinker, and we enter a field of magical introductions.
So first, you don't. It's a misnomer. The idea of how do I approach stillness. I remember I saw this. You can learn from anything. I'm about to prove it to you. I've always loved martial arts. I would have practiced it if I hadn't become paralyzed. I'm drawn to the efficiency of the movement and the story that are told through a human's relationship to the possibility of being able to move that way. So I like to watch films, not shoot them up, knock them dead. Not just, I like to watch the artists. So there was this movie, and there was a master, as there always is, and there was a disciple. And the disciple wanted to learn what the master knew how to do, which was basically, without almost not touching anybody, he could disarm somebody. Say to the mountain moves. And what the student who wanted to overcome this evil force didn't understand was that every time that he moved his hand to dispel the evil force, he empowered the evil force he was trying to dispel. So the master tried to show him that the very resistance to the condition produces the condition he's resisting, and that there was another kind of movement. And the master illustrated this. He went like that, and a candle went out. And the point is simply this, is that the whole idea of approaching stillness gives you the idea that you're apart from the stillness you long for. You are not apart from the stillness you long for. It is already there. This is the old story about the man who the fish that was looking for water. Where's the water? Son, you're in it. You need to spend more time in this school. Thank you. So one, you don't approach stillness. You simply see how much the noise of your mind is interfering with the natural longing you have to participate in a world where everything is moving through it, but nothing is being disturbed by the movement. The movement is changing everything in the awareness, but the awareness itself remains unchanged. This is an actual dynamic you get to participate in. So that's the best I can do, Ivan, but I can tell by your comments that you're slugging it out, and I like that about you. Keep up your good work. Let the observations come. Try to keep Ivan out of it as best possible. On we go, John.
We'll go next, Guy, to Lucy in the queue.
Lucy in
Hello.
the queue. Thank you, John. Hi, Lucy.
Hi. I was going to ask you a question about the meditation. So when I did the I am here, I could feel very grounded. When I got to I am now, I could feel it was more expansive.
Yes.
So there was something different. I didn't get a really good sense of the difference when I got to that I am. So I'll keep working on it. But what I wanted to ask you is, if we're going to do this and, maybe go to even like 5 minutes, do we stay on I am here until we wish to go to I am now, or do we repeat them?
I think the exercise should be done 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You may not be able to, and this is perfectly normal. I know it was for me back in the day when I would work on something like this. If I would try to bring my full awareness into all that is moving into and through me, sometimes my mind would come and it would take me away. It would distract me. I would realize I only captured a partial view, and then I would go back and I would repeat that until I had a sense that I had completed as best I was able in that moment the purpose of that breath. Then I would move on. And there was something else you said that triggered a response. Oh, you said I could sense I am here, I am now, but the I am that I am part you didn't fully understand. That in that moment of I am on the in-breath and the awareness that I am on the out-breath is more like a repose breath. It's more like just relaxing completely into all that double attention has produced in your consciousness. So I hope that will help you understand it. But let it teach you. Let it teach you. Because Ivan asked that as well. Don't go looking to understand. Look at your understanding and learn from what you see. And that's a significant difference. Then you are being taught. Over to you, John.
Well, Guy, that's all. I have no hands in the queue and no further comments sent to me, so I'm turning it over to you.
Now it's 7:30, and I'm going to say good night, everyone. Take the writing home with you. Study it. Work. The attention you've been given is the great gift. Ignore the gift. What little you have will be taken from you. Good night.